Hello, guys, and welcome back to the podcast. This is Paint the Town Dead, and I am one half of your host, Caitlin.
How you doing, Caitlin?
Hi, I'm here. I'm alive. I went through. Sorry about the hiatus. I got food poisoning, so that was fun. I'm just doing bingo. I'm really getting my card really close to disease bingo.
Oh, we'll try not to do that because eventually I think death is involved.
That's the free space in the middle.
It feels like you should, at this point, just be immune to everything. It should be like...
I really think I'm getting close.
It should be like the episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns has every disease, but there's so many of them, they can't get through. So they're all just stopped there and he can't catch anything. That
would be nice. I think I'm close to invincibility. I'm not quite there yet, though.
Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, except for like a bunch of things.
You know what I thought about? Is if I was born way back in the, 1700s or even before, whatever.
How, you'd be dead?
Yes, I would literally be dead right now. Y'all, that went dark. Anyway, I'm much better now. My new job is great.
Yeah. I think it's just, this is a good shout out to everybody out there who's like, but God gave me an immune system. I don't need a vaccine. You just be dead. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
I would 100% be dead right now.
Like, God gave you an immune system. It's like,
but I need antibiotics sometimes.
He gave us vaccines too.
You know what?
Through the power of people. I don't know. Whatever.
Antibiotics. You need antibiotics to kill bacteria. Unfortunately, though, it kills all the bacteria, good bacteria included. And I went through a lot of antibiotics last year. Let me tell you, IV and otherwise. So I'm building it back up. I'm getting there.
And there's also that whole issue, I don't know if it's as much of a problem, like maybe people know about it, of over-prescribing antibiotics.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's getting better. That's getting better.
It seems like I hear every doctor say, stop doing that. So I assume doctors are not doing it as much.
Right. But also, you have to have the wherewithal and the discernment to be able to prescribe antibiotics when they're needed. I had a doctor, I kept going back. They kept testing for, like strep and stuff. And I was like, I don't know what it is. I guess it's not strep, but I feel awful. And I kept feeling worse and worse and worse until finally I could barely move. And I went to the doctor and they finally drew blood. They did something and I was very sick. I needed antibiotics then. It was necessary.
So why don't you tell us why we're here?
To talk about my health history.
That's right. This is
Paint the Town
Med.
That was good. No. But this isn't. Today we're talking about, you guessed it, murder. Which I don't want to make light of that. I'm not making light of that. But that is what our podcast is about. We do often talk about that. So
we are in fact making light of it. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. But today we are talking about the murder of at least one person. Oh. But I don't want to give too much away. So let's start. This episode, we are talking about Joe Lee Richards Jr. for the most part, and other people involved with this crime. All right, so October 20th, 2010. I'll just go. Let me start that over. First, right off the bat, my source is season 23, episode 18. On some sources, I saw it on episode 21, so I really don't know which one it is. It's of Snapped. And so that episode, I don't want to give too much away.
Okay. You're going to tell us the story.
I am. But that's where I got the information. But they kept saying Benton, Arkansas. That's
a place, yeah.
Yeah, Benton Bryant, which is it's outside of Little Rock a little bit. It's in the Little
nearby.
Rock area. Yeah. So it's Central Arkansas. They kept saying Benton, but I'm pretty sure this took place in Traskwood, which is it's a small place outside of Benton.
Maybe it's one of those things where they
just made it easier. And
yeah, kind of like when I go out of town and you just be like, I'm from this little town that's near Little Rock. They're like, what's that? So you just say Little Rock because people, that's the one town they've heard of. It's easier that way. And
so I think it was more of that situation. So anyways.
Kind of like on Mans with Vans where it took place. Oh, where did that take place in?
Greenbrier.
Yes, which is near Conway. And they just straight up used footage from Conway. They're like, here's downtown Conway. And in some of the spots, you can see the sign that says, welcome to downtown Conway.
It's like, well, That's not Greenbrier.
I was like, I've never been to Greenbrier. I know that's Conway, unless Greenbrier has a fake downtown Conway, like it's Las Vegas with like their fake Eiffel Tower and Statue of Liberty or something.
I can pretty confidently say they probably do not.
That'd be real weird if they did.
It would. So I think this is kind of that situation. They kept saying Benton, but I believe it's in the Traskwood area.
And I think we've seen a bunch of other ones where they kind of
go about
where it's like this technically took place in this small, barely a town.
Yeah.
We'll just say it took place in the town that's nearby.
Yeah, and so Benton isn't far from here. So October 20th, 2010, we're in Benton, Arkansas. Joe Lee Richards Sr. Joe is one word, Lee. It's not Joe Lee. It's Joe Lee Richards Sr. He was a well-known alderman in the Benton area, but he called 911. He's upset. On this day, he called the police department about his son, Joe Lee Richards Jr., being missing for a few days. And it was unusual, and they were not able to reach him. That was the unusual part. Usually they were able to reach him. So, and his truck was left at home. So officers kind of arrive to the house and look in the truck, and they see everything is in there. Keys are in the ignition, wallet's in there, laptop, cell phone, everything is in there. And so red flag, number one. So Joe Lee Richards Sr. was very adamant with police that something was not right and did not add up to fair play, he said.
Were the police like, no, this seems normal to me?
No, I think pretty quick they were on it, especially because Joe Lee Richards Sr., He was the sheriff for a long time in the area. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure we had clarification because it's like, I don't know, when you say he was adamant that something happened, it makes it sound like the police are like, I don't know, I leave my vehicle all the time with all the stuff and the ignition.
But you know how sometimes the police say, well, they're an adult, they can go off if they want to. So I think he was like trying to just be like, no, he wouldn't do that. Yeah. No, this isn't normal. No, he left all his stuff.
Like just really impress upon them the situation is out of the ordinary for this person?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit. You're going to hear me mostly if I say Joe Lee, I'm talking about Joe Lee Jr. because this is mostly about him. Or if I say Joey, that's him as well. His friends and family called him Joey to help differentiate he and his father. So Joe Lee Jr. was born in 1971 in Benton, where he would grow up in a well-known family. He had a bunch of siblings and obviously his parents. And like I said, friends would call him Joey to differentiate him from his father. So in his younger years, Joey found love with Trish Grinstead, and Trish would go on to give birth to a son, Brian, who she fathered, obviously, with Joey. They didn't stay together, but they did raise their son, Brian. And Brian had said of his father that he was like a big loving teddy bear, but he was hard whenever he needed to be, and he had a bit of a darker side. He'd also been a part of the U.S. Army at one point. And although similar in looks to his father, Joey would not go into a life of politics, but into manual labor. He really enjoyed that. He hung sheetrock. It's not laid sheetrock. I don't really know the right term.
Would you say hanged? Or do we only use hanged when we're talking about hangings?
I don't know the answer to that. He hung I don't know. He hung sheetrock.
I feel like
he put sheetrock up.
Yeah, people know what we're saying.
Yeah. So he really loved that. He enjoyed how demanding physically his job was, and he was really good at it. But unfortunately, that job he loved so much, it did cost him. And one day while working on some scaffolding, Joey fell. He recovered, but he was left with chronic pain due to his injuries. Along with, obviously, this job is very demanding physically. So he was left with a lot of pain from that and from his injuries from the fall. So that kind of led kind of into, well, we'll talk about it a little bit later. But, with that, you get prescription pain pills, I'm sure, after your initial fall and injury. And that can lead down, if you have problems, it can lead down other paths, which we'll talk about. And although feeling older than he was, in 2002, Joey was only in his early 30s and he was wanting to settle down. All of his friends had kids and families, and he was kind of looking for that. And that's when he would meet recently divorced 41-year-old Marissa Wright.
Could you imagine being 40 years old?
Never. I'm 22.
Good job.
Yeah.
I know. I certainly couldn't imagine being in my 30s. What a nightmare.
Totally. Never. It's not like your whole body falls apart as soon as you turn 30. Nope.
And you get dementia and don't remember anything. And
you get in the hospital for old lady diseases.
You turn into a big uggo. And
I love it. I love my 20s right now. That's what I know.
Living it up, hitting up the clubs all day.
Every day. That's right. Anyway, so a little background on Marissa Wright. Marissa was born in 1961, and she also grew up in Saline County, and that's where Benton is, and it's like in the Little Rock area.
Yeah, it's south of Little Rock. It is most well known to me as the place where storms always seem to start. Yeah. They're always like, and we've got a whole mess of garbage coming up from Saline County. Get ready for it.
And it's headed everybody's way. Yeah. We're starting it here and pushing it out. So Marissa's father was a well-known pastor and carpenter in the area, and a point she was very proud of and passionate about. So when Marissa was 31, she married her former high school sweetheart. They didn't give a name, but they said he was a Navy man, so Marissa would move often with him around the U.S. They lived in all these coastal towns.
And she was like, I don't want a water man. I want a land man, a land army man.
Well, she did. But it seemed that everyone said that numerous have said that she was happy, that their relationship seemed really good, and that she was very content, and she loved the life she had with her husband. But however, in 2002, what seemed out of nowhere, Marissa's husband blindsided her by leaving her for her best friend. And it was absolutely devastating, and it really changed her. And I put this in my notes here. I see your mouse hovering overhead.
I was like, too bad none of us can relate to this.
Yeah. It sucks. But, I was actually watching a thing talking about trauma and with big life changes. And, I mean, like something like this. And it's a trauma to your brain. It hits you so hard, like nervous systemly. It literally, like your brain reroutes all of its connections, and it's like you've suffered a brain injury. So I was like, wow, I feel that. So I kind of feel for her there, but I think anyway. So in 2006, Marissa would return to Saline County, and not long after her return, Marissa's mother passed away. And after this, Marissa would move in with her father, who is in poor health as well. She would become a home health care aide and started to rebuild her life. And this rebuilding really took off the night she met Joe Lee Richards Jr. So, friends and family of Joe and Marissa both said, they talked about each other and they really seemed to hit it off. But it's because they had a lot of similarities between the Wrights and the Richards family. Both were well thought of in the community. Both were civic leaders. One was a pastor and one was a former sheriff. So they kind of had similarities growing up in a similar way, sort of. And the two would remain close for several years, sometimes being more than friends, sometimes not. So it was very on again, off again. And when they were off, they would see other people. So it was very hit or miss.
I can relate. I can't be tied down.
You're such a player.
That's what I'm known for.
Of course.
They call me something hilarious.
Okay.
They call me Derek Jeter because he was a baller.
Was he?
And a player.
Was he?
I don't know.
Who's
probably.
Derek Jeter?
He was a very famous New York Yankee baseball player and Ranger.
Who did he marry?
I think he married J-Lo at some point, or he was together with her for a long time.
Huh.
For long time by celebrity standards, maybe. But they're not together anymore, I don't think.
No, she's engaged to Ben Affleck.
Yeah, so he's probably out there being a player in Miami or something. I don't know.
Of course.
Just like me.
Derek Jeter.
He learned everything he knows from me.
It's okay. So like I said, they remained close for several years, on again, off again, dating and not dating. But by 2010, they were heading towards being on. They decided that they wanted to be together. They loved each other. And Marissa had even told friends that she was in love with Joe Lee Jr. And everyone was happy for the couple. But by fall of 2010, Joe Lee Jr. and Marissa were talking about marriage, with Joe Lee even going as far as to tell his sister of his plan. So, I mean, by all intents and purposes, they said and felt that they were engaged. But when October 20th hit and the call came into the police department, things kind of changed. So Joe Lee Sr. like I said, was the one to report his son missing. And that was on October 20th, 2010. However, it had been 12 days since Joe Lee Sr. had heard from his son. And he said it was specifically around midnight on October 8th. He was up playing video games. He saw him, and that was the last he saw of him. Now, Sr. said it wasn't unusual for Joe Lee Jr. to leave for like a few days on short notice or without notice, but said that he would always call and check on his dad without fail every day. So and if he wasn't there, I mean, he was calling and checking on him. So they were like, something's up. It's been 12 days and we haven't heard from him. It's not good. So not really sure where he could have gone. There was really no clue. Police started with the woods outside the Richards home. And the thought was that maybe he had wandered into the woods and gotten hurt at some point, but they looked and there was no sign of Joey. The next thought was that maybe Joe Lee Jr. took off with someone else, perhaps a woman. So Joe Lee Sr. told the police that Jr. was seeing a woman named Marissa Wright. So police paid her a visit and found her at the home she shared with her father, and she was caring for him.
I was going to say, like, I don't know, the idea that he ran off with a woman seems odd considering they found his keys in his vehicle. And all that.
Exactly.
That stuff's a little weird.
And that's what Joe Lee Sr. was saying.
Was she a siren? Like, what is this?
Yeah, Joe Lee Sr. was like, but all his stuff is here.
Yeah, like what? Yeah. Does that happen? I don't know. Maybe police officers are built differently, and that's something that happens to them. They just run off with a woman. They leave all their stuff there. I don't know. Like,
not in my life.
What's happening?
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
And I think that's why Senior was pretty adamant. No, something's up. So Marissa told police that she too had not seen or heard from Joe Lee Jr. since the evening of October 8th, and police asked her to share her side of the story. So Marissa told investigators that Joe Lee Jr. had been at her house the night he had disappeared to hang out and watch a movie. Also in the house were Marissa's father, which I think he was like off, maybe like asleep or something, and a woman named Myra Terry, a friend of Marissa's. And Marissa said they watched a movie, and then Joe Lee Jr. returned home late that night, maybe around 1:30ish. That was the story. So Marissa also told the police that when Joe Lee had gotten away for a few days before, like in the past where he had left for a couple days at a time, it wasn't to enjoy the fresh Arkansas nature. It was to get high. So that was something that he struggled with. And again, from his accident, I think being on the painkillers and him just being in excruciating pain every day, he said he just needed something to help the pain. And so, which I get. I mean, that's so tough to deal with, chronic pain like that. So I can see where he comes from there.
And this is like right in the era where we were still just like, here's a bunch of pain pills. Yes. Eat them up like Smarties and candy or whatever. Just put them all in your hand and chomp on them. They're Skittles.
That's baby. Right. And so Joe Lee Jr. was known in the drug scene around the area. Like I said, not long after his accident at work, Joe Lee took to self-medicating to relieve the pain. And the drugs he mostly did, it was meth, and that was over the course of a few years.
Meth would not have been my guess based on
I know it'd be
pain
like
thing. I guess I don't
heroin
know.
Would be my guess because that's the typical going from narcotic pain medications to heroin seems to be pretty common because it's or morphine.
That's what morphine's made out. Well, they're made from whatever it's called.
Right.
The thing.
What thing?
What's it called?
Chemical compound.
The plant that they're both made of. Why can't I think of it?
Oh my God! It's not poppy seeds. That's morphine.
They're from the same thing.
I don't think
morphine and heroin. Yeah.
No. Oh yeah. No, I was talking about hydrocodone. I don't think that's from poppy. I don't remember what.
Not that I know of, but yeah, morphine and heroin are from the same family. Whatever that plant is called.
A poppy.
Yeah. What's the opium?
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
There it is. You got it. So I would think more of like a system depressant, but meth can make you feel invincible, so you wouldn't feel the pain, So it's just what he struggled with. And Marissa also suggested that if it wasn't the drugs themselves that led to his disappearance, then the next place to look would be the people that he hung out with when doing drugs. So wanting to interview everyone that had seen Joe Lee the last night he was seen, police went to visit Myra Terry, the friend that was there. When interviewed, Myra confirmed Marissa's story. Myra also told the police that she had heard from a friend that Joe Lee had gotten into some really big bad drug deal, but did not know the details. She's like, maybe they did something to him. And so there was speculation then that it could have been a kidnapping case. So over the next 2 weeks, police kept surveillance kind of on the drug scene with people they knew that were involved, seeing if they said anything, see if they did anything. And they kept their ears open to any leads as well. And police followed through on each of the leads that came in, but in the end, they didn't find anything. So in desperate hope, Joe Lee Sr. went on the news and made a plea with the public for any information about his son's whereabouts. So after Joe Lee Sr.'s plea for information in November 2010, so this is still the same year, someone called into the police department's tip line. The call came anonymously from a woman from a payphone at a local gas station. Payphones were still around. I was like, wow, that was not...
It's been a while.
Yeah, 2002, it's 2010 here. So that must have been as they were phasing out, because that's unusual. So the woman told the tip line that Joe Lee Jr. had been shot and that he was dead, not just missing. And so when questioned who she was, the woman would not give that information, claiming a, quote, fear for her life. So not long after that tip, a call came in directly to Joe Lee Sr. Someone called and said there was a small remote cemetery on the east end of the county. The caller said that Joe Jr. had been buried there, supposedly in a fresh grave. And this was an old cemetery, so it would be like easy to spot a fresh grave. So what happened was Joe Sr. and his daughter quickly acted on the tip, got in their vehicle, and started heading towards Trask Wood Cemetery, and the investigators were in tow behind them. And everyone was amped up, ready to go, ready to find Joe Lee. But however, when they got there, there was no fresh dirt anywhere. They walked all over the cemetery. They didn't find anything. And so it appeared the tip was a false lead. So 10 months would roll by with no news or leads. Occasionally they would run a little plug for him on the news stations and newspapers. But 10 months without any solid leads. So in September of 2011, while speaking to Joe Lee Jr.'s friends, a discovery was made about the night he disappeared. There were more people in the house than Marissa and Myra initially said. There were 2 other people there, Dana and Mark, and those were 2 folks that were also known to be related to the drug scene in the area. So the following afternoon, detectives tracked down Dana, and she gave a statement about the night at Marissa's house. And in her statement, she talked about how Marissa was involved with and made meth, and that this was shocking as to the police because her name had never come up in recent years in conjunction with the drug scene. But Dana stated it was the meth that brought everyone together that night at Marissa's house. So Dana stated that Joe Lee Jr. did show up that night, but it wasn't to get high. He said ever since he had proposed marriage to Marissa, he was sober and working to stay that way, and he really wanted Marissa to do the same thing. So he was going there that night to dissuade Marissa from making and partaking in the meth. So he was trying to do the right thing. He wanted to have a really good life with he and Marissa together and start off strong. So that's awesome. But where was I? Oh, here I am. Okay.
I will say people making and doing meth. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say red flag. It is a red flag. For a relationship.
And good for Jolie for wanting to stop it and get everything right and trying to help Marissa too. So anyway, so Joe Lee Jr. showed up, saw what was happening, that they were still, Marissa still deciding to cook it. He became enraged and he got into an altercation with Mark, the other guy at the house that night, who he was the one kind of encouraging Marissa to keep up participating in it, keep making it, keep taking it. And so, and Joe Lee Jr. knew this about Mark, and so that enraged him even more. So it just all came to a head there, and they got into a physical altercation. And the women there, they couldn't break up the fight, so Marissa grabbed her pistol to fire just like a warning shot into the ground, but she fired it, but it didn't faze the guys at all. It was like they didn't even hear it. So she fired another shot, and this time she shot Joe Lee. So Dana said at this point, she and Mark packed up the drugs, left the house, but was adamant when they left that Joe Lee Jr. was still alive and they did not hear any more gunshots. So then Mark was brought in for questioning, and he confirmed basically Dana's story. The altercation, he heard a pop, and then Joe slumped to the ground saying, "You shot me, you shot me." And Mark said he told Marissa to call an ambulance, but he and Dana were leaving. So they headed out to his truck, and he said Jolie was alive when they left.
They always say that, though.
They do, but I think he was, and we'll talk about it more.
Okay.
But when he heard on the news that Jolie Jr. was missing, he said he knew something was wrong, and he thought it might have to do with that night, and it did. But so on October 3rd, 2011, so this is practically a year later, investigators executed a search warrant on the house Marissa shared with her father. However, like I said, it had been a year and the search turns up nothing. However, Marissa's father comes forward and said he wanted to speak with investigators. And this all happens basically in a day. The search warrant, they didn't find anything. Marissa's dad finds out that they're searching the house and he has something he wanted to say. So at this time, though, Mr. Wright was in the hospital, but he called police and told them they would find 2 bodies in the backyard.
That's more than I expected.
That's 2. Did you count that? Not 1, but 2.
That's twice as many.
Yes. It's double the amount. So with a second search warrant in hand, just literally like back to back, hours later, same day, this time for the grounds of the house, not just the house and everything in it, this time for like the grounds, investigators head back to the Wright home. However, on the way there, police hear a dispatch for an ambulance to the Wright house as well. And so they're like, crap. And so come to find out, when the police left the first time, Marissa wrote what appeared to be, this is trigger warning, a suicide note. And then she ingested a bunch of pills. And a neighbor had come in between, like from the police being there first time and the second time. He came to the house and saw that Marissa was having breathing difficulties and she was all kind of slumped over. This was after she ingested the pills. So he called the ambulance. She was taken to the hospital to recover, which, spoiler alert, she eventually did. So in the note, Marissa did mention 2 bodies in the backyard. So confirming what her dad had said. One underneath a koi pond in the backyard and one just outside of the back door. And sure enough, once police got there, they dug up both of those areas. A skeletonized body was found right outside of the back door. Like, they showed pictures. Literally, there's the back door, some steps down, and immediately to the right of the steps, was where the first body was. And so, second was a body wrapped in tarps and duct tape found underneath the koi pond. It literally looked like a mummy, like all wrapped up real tight. They showed pictures on the episode, but nothing, I mean, you didn't see anything, but anyways, but what the heck, like I said, that was one too many people that we thought. So who was the second person? So we're kind of talk about that. The day after the discovery of the 2 bodies, the body by the steps was identified as Jolie Jr. And the Richards family was obviously so sad of the discovery, but Jolie Sr. felt more at peace knowing what had happened to his son, because he was adamant that this isn't normal. Something bad has happened. I know it has. And so, unfortunately, his suspicions were confirmed. But the second body was later identified, and it was Randall Anderson of Mableville, which is in the same area. It's just outside of Benton Bryant, in between Benton Bryant and Little Rock. And he had been reported missing several years prior, but not in, it probably was more in the Mableville area versus this. So now it looks like detectives have a second homicide on their hands to solve. So after Marissa was released from the hospital after her suicide attempt, she was immediately arrested for the murder of Jolie Jr. And once in the interrogation room, Marissa she started talking. She didn't really deny it. She just kind of started talking. So she said before she and Jolie got together, she had briefly dated Randall Anderson. And the relationship soured in 2008 when Randall started to become abusive, she said. This is per her story. Whether he was or not, I don't know, but this is per her story. The relationship further soured when she found out that Randall had stolen some of her mother's jewelry and sold it. And this was like right before her mother died. And so it was especially a big deal when she found out and her mother was dead. Anyway, it was very upsetting. So Marissa claimed In February 2008, she confronted Randall about the stolen jewelry. She said she overcame Randall, tied him into a kitchen chair, and began to aggressively question him about the stolen jewelry. Like, that's some psycho stuff.
It's like, I mean, that's like the first step to being a serial killer, which she was almost there.
I think she passed a couple steps. So she told him that if he'd tell her where it was, then she would let him go. And Randall either would not or could not tell her. So she proceeded in violence while questioning him. So when police asked her straightforward, how did he die? Marissa replied that Randall had suffocated. When asked how, she stated, quote, "I took his air supply," which is such an odd way to say things.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where people say like really weird roundabout versions of just like what you're trying to say.
Yeah, just tell me what you did. And she did end up saying she had placed a plastic bag over his head and then left him there to suffocate, which he eventually did, which sounds awful. So after that, she asked for the help of a friend named Jay to help dispose of the body. So they wrapped him in plastic, drug him out of the house, and placed him underneath the koi pond. So Marissa was not sorry and reveled in the fact of knowing where Randall was and that she had final control over him. She said she liked to look out on her yard and see that koi pond there every day and know he was in there and couldn't hurt her anymore, is what she said. This is all from police. They show the police interview on the episode. And so I was like, all right, well, okay. So when asked about the death of Jolie Jr., Marissa basically confirmed Mark and Dana's story, saying she accidentally shot him and was trying to calm him in his frantic state. She was frantic and he ended up just dying. I don't know where he was shot. She stated she was aiming for his buttocks. She was trying to shoot him there to break up the fight, which is not a good way to break up a fight. But
no, don't
shoot somebody.
Yeah, you're likely going to mess it up.
And it did.
It's not like in the movies where people are getting shot all the time and they're like, no, I'm an action hero. I'm fine. I'm the main character.
I'm fine. Yeah, no, so I don't know where she shot him, but it ended up being a fatal shot.
Like this straight up happens in the book Battle Royale, where one of the kids tries to like aim towards somebody but not shoot them fatally and ends up messing up and just kills them on accident. Like, don't do that.
Yeah. So please don't shoot anybody to try to break up a fight. I don't think it's going to end well. So when she realized that Jolie Jr. was dead, she enlisted the help of Myra in burying his body outside the back door. Marissa stated she had no remorse killing Randall, but was in love with Jolie and it was an accident killing him and that she didn't mean to, and she was very upset about it. Not upset enough. But after her arrest and being charged with murder, Jolie Sr. wanted one thing, and that was to see justice for his son against Marissa. But this needed to be done quickly as Jolie Sr. was elderly and ailing. And wanting to make one of Jolie Sr.'s final wishes come true, the prosecution approached the defense about a plea deal. And on November 7th, 2012, both sides came to an agreement. Marissa pled guilty to 2 first-degree murder charges with 2 life sentences. Now, and this was different than the initial. They were going for capital murder, and she was going to be charged for capital murder. Tried for capital murder with the death penalty as an option. So this was better for her because she figured she would get convicted.
Do you know if that would have been just for the first killing? Because that one was like very much premeditated in the way that you would think capital murder would be.
I don't know. I thought I read, it was a news article. It was a KATV article, I think, that I read, where I thought it said both of them.
Okay.
But if you get it on one, I mean, definitely the first one for sure.
I mean, you only need to get it successful on one.
Yeah. So I don't know, but she made a plea deal where she just pled guilty to life. To 2 life sentences. So Myra Terry was sentenced to 10 years probation for her role in helping to bury Jolie Jr. And Jay was arrested for his role in burying Randall Anderson, but charges against him were later dropped. And 6 months after Marissa's conviction, Jolie Sr. passed away, but at least he got to see justice for his son. And that's the story of Jolie Jr. and Randall Anderson.
A surprise one.
I know. There was 2.
Didn't see it coming. It was more than I wanted.
Yes, there's too many, definitely.
Agreed. That first one is like straight up serial killer, like 100%. Nightmare scenario, like
tied up and tortured, basically, and then she's put a bag over his head till he's suffocated,
which takes longer than it does in movies.
That it sounds awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, both men didn't deserve. I don't know if the abuse allegations are true or not. If they are, she didn't deserve that, but also he didn't deserve to be murdered.
Yeah, probably not. If I were to guess, he didn't, because I mean, it's just a good bet on most people. They probably don't deserve to be tortured and murdered.
Yeah.
Even if they suck, they usually don't.
Yeah.
There's probably some exceptions out there we can find, but
Yeah.
Just making a guess.
I think you're onto something.
Oh boy. So I guess we're at the end of the show, sort of. This is the part where we talk about whatever we feel like.
Some of what you're looking at.
Yeah. So obviously with the amount of time it took longer than normal to get this episode out. So I've got a backlog.
I do too.
I'm going to speed through most of it.
Okay.
Because also it's fine. It's not important.
No.
So first of all.
Yes.
The conclusion to the madness and mania.
And WrestleMania and March Madness.
March Madness was mostly pretty fun. The championship game was good. Kansas won. Kensaw.
I think Kensaw.
Well, they won the title, so they get to be Kansas for now.
Okay.
Kansas State, I'm still going to call them Kensaw State because their most recent game against Arkansas State, they still lost.
Nice.
From 2 years ago now. The basketball title game was good. It was like a 15-point comeback or something and all that. WrestleMania was a lot of fun, like shockingly so. Shout out to Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair for being awesome, and also shout out to. Are you familiar with Jackass?
Yes, I am. Sorry, just took a drink of water.
Johnny Knoxville of Jackass fame had a match.
Did he win?
He did win.
They make it that way, right?
Yes, Caitlin, wrestling is fake. Okay. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this concept.
Okay, just making sure.
He did beat a real wrestler, Sami Zayn, who is great.
How did he do?
It was amazing. It was shockingly
entertaining.
Great. It was really funny.
He's used to these.
It was way funny. Like, the best part is probably this is on camera work was great, where Sami Zayn is walking outside the ring. And he's just like disheveled, like frustrated with the whole thing because also all the other Jackass people keep coming out and fighting with him. And there's a part where just like out of nowhere, this giant hand, just like mechanical hand, comes and just like annihilates him. And it's the camera set up perfectly that you can't see it at all. And so he's just like walking by and he's like, bam, a big old hand hits him.
That's hilarious.
And he lost because he got trapped under a giant mouse trap and pinned.
Oh my god!
It was incredible. It was one of the best things I ever watched all my life.
Andrew, I'm so happy for you. That's really exciting.
It was really funny. So that was a good show overall. Also, the Stone Cold match was shockingly good. So, pro basketball is happening now, so I've been watching that. The Grizzlies lost last night, but they also came back from a 20-point deficit earlier. It's a whole thing. Basketball's been fun. I finished Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, did you like it?
I liked it a lot. It took me
a long
final
time.
Clock was 83 hours of game time. The ending goes some places and sets up the sequel.
Cool.
After that, I started trying to catch up on some Marvel stuff.
Yes.
So I finally watched Black Widow, which I thought was pretty okay.
It's pretty good, yeah.
It was better than I expected because people were like, it's not very good. And it's like, it's all right.
Yeah.
I like the vibe of the like spy thriller mixed with comic book stuff that they do. But they haven't ever done it as well as they did with the first one, which was Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
which is like one of the best ones.
Yeah.
But I like the vibe of that. And like they tried to do that with Winter Soldier and Falcon Winter Soldier, and I didn't think that show was not very good.
No, I was pretty bored with that show. I didn't finish it. I was so bored.
I do wonder if any of it was like COVID stuff messed it up. Because there's
I think so.
I saw the Nando V Movies YouTube video. He did one where it's like theorizing that maybe there was more of a thing about like a plague going through stuff. And it's like there's like weird stuff that they're talking about a plague sort of, but they only talk about it very rarely.
Yeah.
And so it's like, did they cut a bunch of stuff?
They might have.
Because they didn't want to invoke COVID
right.
because that was still happening hardcore.
Well, it's picking back up. I have literally two friends right now with COVID. My friend Drew, stuck in Spain right now.
Well, I was talking to a friend. I was like, we were like, yeah, it's not so much that we beat COVID. It's just that we gave up.
Yeah.
We just gave up.
And I think it will be kind of like the flu where we have seasons of it. And I don't really know. I don't know, man.
We shall see.
Yeah.
I saw Eternals. Is boring. It's over 2.5 hours long.
I like Barry Keoghan, though.
Is that the
Irish
mind
guy.
Control guy?
Yeah, Irish guy.
Yeah. The whole movie, I was just like, I wish this was over.
Yeah, it wasn't
I'm
great.
glad I'm only half paying attention because it sucks. Yeah. It's really boring.
Yeah.
My favorite part, this is going to be a spoiler. This movie doesn't matter. It does not matter that you're going to be spoiled. When the Celestial shows up at the end and you see his big old head.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Rick and Morty with the Cromulans.
Yeah.
Show me what you got.
Show me what you got.
That's all I could think of.
I thought of that too. Yes.
Maybe if it were a better movie, I wouldn't have thought of that.
I think in fact, when we watched it, that's what I said. I said, show me what you got. Because we were at home.
It was my first thought. I was like, all right.
Yeah, not great. And what else did you watch?
Shang-Chi. So again, Marvel. I thought
better than Eternals.
It's better. It's still not good, really. It's very mediocre.
Yeah.
The
Did
first
you like
fight
Awkwafina?
Scene, she was fine. She wasn't overbearing as much as I thought. There was points where I was worried she was going to get like real overbearing.
Me too.
Because they do this in Marvel because Tony Stark was so popular. They're like, we need a
quippy,
sassy, wisecracking doofus or whatever. And it's like, you don't need every character to do that. They have too many characters who do this. That's why like the dynamic between Captain America and Iron Man works is that they're very different characters.
Right.
You don't need everybody to be the next Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of the things that bothered me about Hawkeye, the TV show, was Kate Bishop, who's going to be the new Hawkeye, and she's a girl. Can you believe such a thing?
Ugh. Girls. Who's that?
My favorite. But she's like real quippy all the time, and it's like
sassy teenagery.
We can't have every character be Iron Man.
Yeah.
You need to have different characters. But also, she's not the main character, so I guess it's fine. Because the main character is kind of not that way. He is kind of...
Jeremy Renner?
No, sorry, from Shang-Chi.
Oh. Yeah, I liked him.
He wasn't as quippy. He was a little bit.
But not...
But I like their dynamic together.
Yeah.
They're best friends. And it wasn't one of those things where it's like, are you just telling us, though? You're not showing me that they're best friends? It felt like they had good dynamic together.
Yeah.
There's a bus fight scene towards the beginning, which is really cool.
Was cool.
And I thought, all right, I'm on board. But eventually I was like, I'm bored and I want this movie to end.
Yeah.
Basically, when it got more CGI, the rings flying around stuff was kind of just nothing to me.
Yeah.
Moon Knight, we're four episodes in. It's real good. I like it so far.
I do too.
There's only
we haven't
two
talked
left.
much about it. There's only 2 left.
Yeah, I think it's only 6 episodes.
Wow. Yeah, I've been watching Moon Knight. Really like it. Love Oscar Isaac. He's my man. Yeah, I'm excited.
And I like that they've gone out of their way to make it not super connected to other Marvel stuff. Let it stand alone.
Like at all, really.
There's like some stuff like in the background you can see whatever the organization is that does like relocation from Hawkeye and Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay.
Like there's an advertisement on a bus or something.
Oh, that's pretty removed though.
Yeah, like they said they went out of their way to make sure there wasn't a bunch of stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
And also they've said like Oscar Isaac is only signed on for this show and this show alone.
And I heard that he stepped away, like, and that he's done. Like, that's it. He's done. He did his thing. He's done.
Maybe he's like, listen, I gotta go do this second Dune movie. No, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Spoilers.
Spoiler.
I mean, that's like the beginning of the movie, practically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all the Marvel stuff.
That's just Marvel.
Yeah. So why don't you go for a second?
Well, I know some of them we're going to talk about together. I will continue Marvel. It's Sony Marvel, and that would be the crap Marvel show that is Morbius. Let me tell you, I went in. I am not as much of a critic as Andrew. I'm like, yeah, that was pretty good.
Caitlin's like when you're an 8-year-old child and you're just like, this is a movie?
It's
sure.
a superhero movie. I'm here for it.
Stuff's happening. I don't know. I'm fine with it.
Well, let me tell you. I felt like Andrew watching this movie because I was like, this is garbage. This is no good. It was boring. The story was so disconnected. It was no good. And if you don't know what Morbius is, it's the
living vampire.
Jared Leto movie.
Yeah, he's a Dr. Vampire.
Yeah, it was awful. It was so bad. Poor Matt Smith. I love him. He's such an amazing, incredible actor. And Matt Smith was in this. If you don't know Matt Smith, he played 11 from Doctor Who, Doctor Number 11.
I was like, no, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Because I was thinking 11 from Stranger Things. I was like, that's a very different person.
Nuh-uh. He also played the king in, was that The Crown? The Crown, I think. Yeah, The Crown.
Whichever one of those stupid royal shows.
It's The Crown. It's the one that kind of started things off after Downton Abbey.
Hey, you know my opinion of the royals?
We stepped away from them in 1776.
I'm not interested in your weird inbred cousin marrying weirdos.
It's not so much anymore.
Yeah, except when they don't inbreed, they get all mad at them.
That's true.
Like what happened with, they didn't like Diana. They didn't like.
But she actually was. Diana, she was like a lady.
Before but like the royals did not like her.
Because she was very much a people's princess, the people's princess. Because she touched people with AIDS.
That's right. She did do that.
With her bare hands. Good for her. Man, she was such an angel. Yeah, and they didn't like Meghan Markle because Meghan Markle's American.
Well, and also not white.
Yeah, yes.
So, I mean, they want the gene pool to be a little too close together, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes, they do.
They want to be like Alabama cousin marrying weirdos.
But we're rich.
Yes, exactly. That's basically, they're just rich Confederates.
No, stop.
That's what they are.
Morbius, bad. Did not care about it.
I like I'm just going to spoil the end credits because who cares?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. If you want to skip the movie and you want the end credit scene, here we go.
I just think it's very funny, the idea that they brought Vulture of the MCU into it.
Yes, they did.
Randomly. And I think it's funny because they're so obviously trying to set up a Sinister Six movie again. And they tried doing that with Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh.
If you ever saw Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think it's...
Which one is that?
That is the second Garfield.
Okay.
That's the one with Electro and Green Goblin and Gwen Stacy dies.
Yes.
Spoilers. Also, that's in the comics. And it happens
also,
somewhat
that movie
similar.
Was forever years ago.
It's not very good either, so don't worry. That's why they stopped making those.
But Andrew Garfield is so good.
He's not very good as Peter Parker, if you ask me.
He's a good actor,
Yeah, he's a good actor, but I'm saying he shouldn't be Peter Parker because Peter Parker should be a loser nerd. And Andrew Garfield's like, look at me, I'm a cool guy with hair and skateboarding. Like, you're not Peter Parker.
Although, yeah, Peter Parker, yeah.
But anyway, the Sinister Six, which is like a group of supervillains who try to fight Spider-Man all the time. It's a lineup that changes. But they tried to set it up in Amazing Spider-Man 2 where they're like, here's the lab with the backpack that has the Dr. Octopus backpack, and here's the the Vulture wings.
Okay.
And this is before the Tom Holland Vulture showed up even. Because they were like, we're going to do a Sinister Six movie. Just kidding. We're canning all of this. And I guess now they're going to try and do it again.
Because they got Venom. They got Morbius.
They got
the spider stuff.
They got Vulture now. They've got... I think they're doing a Kraven the Hunter movie, who's a Spider-Man villain. Just why are they doing this?
This is Sony too. This isn't even Marvel.
Yeah,
it's some Marvel, but it's Marvel and Sony.
Yeah, this is from SPUM, the Sony Pictures Universe of Marvel movies.
I don't like that.
SPUM. Took that from some other podcast because I like it.
Don't like it.
Michael Morbius of the SPUM universe.
So yeah, Morbius was no good. It was no good. But I tell you what was good.
They talked about doing that movie forever too, and they always had Jared Leto attached to it, even before COVID caused everything to get
messed up.
Yeah. They were like, we're gonna do a Morbius, and Jared Leto's attached, and it's like, but why? Why are you doing a Morbius movie? Nobody could possibly care.
I thought it's a cool idea, but it failed. It failed bad. But what was good was. Okay, couple things. Went to go see a live show last week. It was Rain, which is the Beatles. They're a Beatles. They used to have a Broadway show, Rain did. And it's the Beatles. They're like a cover band. And they did so good. Even the freaking bass guitarist who was the Paul McCartney character. I mean, they all spoke in a Liverpool accent very convincingly. And even the guy that played Paul McCartney used a left-handed bass guitar. Because Paul McCartney's left-handed and he has a left-handed bass guitar. So
I wonder if that guy's also left-handed.
It could be.
What if he's right-handed and he's just that good?
A lot of people do that crap, which is pretty incredible. But he even had a left-handed bass guitar. And so that was pretty... It was really great. It was one of the first big live performance things I've done since COVID stuff. And it was so good. Also, Severance on Apple
That's an Apple TV Plus
Apple TV, thank you, yes. It was so good. Directed by Ben Stiller. And it's like the right amount of touching and a little kind of creepy and off-putting.
Sounds that way.
Yes, because but it has Adam Scott on it, who's very charismatic. And he's just really great in that role. But the premise is that you get a chip implanted, and when you have it, it's called being severed. When you get that chip implanted, it's called being severed. And the point is that there are triggers. There are like sensors that will kick that implant on and off in your brain. And so the point is that you get total separation. You get work-life separation. Once you get to work and get down in an elevator to a certain point, your work self kicks in. Your consciousness of your work self kicks in, and like basically your work self doesn't leave, because they're only alive within work basically. And then outside of it, you're just you don't have to worry about work at all. You don't even know what you do, because you don't have any memories of it. So it's pretty cool. It was really good. Left on a cliffhanger. I can't wait for the second season. It was so well done, and the acting's so good. Adam Scott's so great.
It sounds really good, and trying to think if there's it seems like there's a lot of stuff with Apple TV Plus that's been coming out that people are like big into, like that show After Party seems pretty good.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard about that.
They have Ted Lasso, which people love.
Yes, I still haven't watched it. I need to watch it.
Probably other things that I can't think of. They were doing Foundation, but I don't think anybody liked that.
Yeah, I stopped halfway through because I thought I was gonna love it, and it was really boring.
Fun fact: the book is kind of boring too.
Oh, have you read it?
I've read most of it.
What's it called again?
Foundation. It's a bunch of heady sci-fi stuff.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting, but I didn't finish the book because
it got boring.
Well, because I'm dumb and don't read books. I don't know.
Also watching another sci-fi show. Andrew asked me, I told him the name of it, and he said, is it a Western? And I was like, kinda. It's called Outer Range, and it's on Prime.
I looked it up because Caitlin was like, I was like, oh, is this like another Yellowstone? Because that got big. And she was like, it's got like a sci-fi thing. And it said something about a black void. And I was like, I'll keep my eye on that.
It has Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin, thank you. It has Josh Brolin in it, and he's really great. I mean, he reminds me of my dad, just like a stoic cowboy. And it's really good. But yeah, it takes place in like Montana or something on a sprawling ranch. So this black void appears, and anyways, it's really good. It's pretty intense so far. It's only got 4 episodes out right now. I think they're releasing 2 a week.
Okay.
It's real good. I mean, it's a slow burn, but it's definitely, there is something weird going on. What is it? I don't know.
We probably will never know. Or we won't know by the end of the season. There'll be more stuff to
there
make
will be. Easter with my niece and nephew was wonderful. I got woke up very early to watch them hunt Easter eggs, and that's all I could ever want in life. It was beautiful. They were so happy. And that's the reason for Easter, is hunting eggs. Listen, I know my niece doesn't listen to this, so I can say this. There was no carrots for the Easter bunny, and she was very sad and wanted something to leave out for the Easter bunny to eat. So she was like, well, bunnies drink water. And I was like, all right, we'll leave a glass of water out. And then she's like, but we don't have any carrots. What do we have? And I was like, well, we have Cheetos. Those are orange. And we have a block of cheddar cheese.
There you go.
So we made a cheddar cheese Cheeto plate. So I was,
what should have done with this cheddar cheese? Was it like a block of cheese?
Yes.
Okay. Should have done.
Shredded them?
Like, yeah, take like 2, like, I don't know if you could get like a, maybe like 2 spoons or 2 knives or something, put them together so it looks like buck teeth, like scrape through it.
Oh, that's such a cute idea.
Yep, I'm adorable, I know.
Look at you. I'm going to use that next year, but I have to buy an entire block of cheddar cheese.
Yes, and it'll be worth it. When I was a kid, we used to leave carrots out for Santa for the reindeer.
Yeah, we did too.
Yeah.
No.
Nothing for the Easter bunny, though.
No, that was it.
That's a new one.
It was cute. Whatever. We leave stuff out for Santa? So why should we?
I guess it's logical. It's like, why wouldn't we? Why do we not like the Easter bunny as much?
Yeah, he's hungry too. He has to go to all the houses.
Santa's just here because Jesus was born. Big whoop.
That's right.
The whole point of the religion is that he died for our sins and then was resurrected. The Easter bunny's more important than Santa.
Obviously.
Hot take here.
He hides the eggs. Did Jesus hide eggs? Didn't think so.
Well, that's
just kidding.
That's the part where it's like taking stuff from pagan holidays.
Yeah.
Sort of like a lot of Christmas stuff.
I thought I sent you a TikTok about that, but I did see a TikTok about that.
I'm still traumatized because of all the annoying kids from high school who would always point that out at Christmas. Be like, it's actually...
pagan holiday.
It's like, yeah, I know. I don't... That's fun and all, but that's not like a gotcha moment. That's not going to end Christianity. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Mowed the yard for the first time this season. Here we go.
Always a mistake.
Yeah. Read a book that was good.
Oh, I thought you said you turned red because you are red.
Oh, I did. I literally was only out there for 3 hours, maybe 3.5.
Only? That's quite a while for getting sunburned.
What do you mean? You think that's a long time? You think sunburn developed then?
Obviously it did.
But my parents were outside all day and neither of them got sunburned.
Maybe they weren't doing yard work like you do.
I told Hallie I'm a pasty princess. Yeah, my hands, the backs of my hands are literally burned. Yeah. The tops of them.
Like, this is some real, like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man moment?
I know. I texted Andrew the first thing I did. I was like, I know I'm sunburned. I was like, you think I would learn? Because I went through this last year and the year before. I think probably it's an every year thing here.
Yeah.
I learned. I know.
Yeah, we'll see.
So The Last House on the Street was a book that I read. It was good. It has to do with civil rights and love. And it was surprisingly good and emotional. And then I read a book called All the Murmuring Bones, which I love because it takes place in Ireland. And the narrator is Irish, so I loved it. It was good. It kind of brought in some folklore, Irish folklore, like selkies and water horses and things like that. It was pretty cool. I liked it a lot. It's kind of a mystery. I liked the main character. It was good. All the Murmuring Bones.
Okay, I was wondering what the last word was.
Bones. All the Murmuring Bones.
I thought you said boons. I was like,
boons.
Okay.
No, bones. And right now I am reading. I'm listening. I listen to audiobooks. I'm listening to Wicked, The Life and Lies of blah 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 blah. There's a second part behind it, but it's what the musical is based off of. But it's absolutely nothing like the musical, except Elphaba's green and her name is Elphaba, and Galinda is making an appearance now.
And is it basically like she's not as wicked as you thought?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be, but I'm not far into it yet. So
I saw it on Broadway.
It's you. I thought John had, and I was like trying to get him to guess what book I was listening to, and I was like, "You saw it on Broadway." And he's like, "Phantom of the Opera." I was like, "No." He's like, I've never seen. That's the closest I've gotten to Broadway." And I was like, "I thought you saw it on Broadway."
No, it was me.
It was you.
And I didn't care, so I didn't appreciate it.
It was you.
I was just
monster.
There. I was just there to make people jealous.
You did.
I remember getting some real strong post 9/11 vibes because there's I forget what happens, but it's a lot of like, if you're not with us, you're against us, George Bushian type stuff.
Oh,
I think
weird.
it said that might be just musical only. I don't know, and I don't remember the context of exactly how that happened, but that's the thing that sticks out.
Oh, yeah. No, it didn't have to do 9/11, but yeah. Anyway. And last, well, a couple of things. 2 movies that you and I both want to see. We talked about this. You definitely have to see The Northman because...
Okay. And we both want to see
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
No, the other one that I want to see that you don't actually want to see.
Oh,
the Nicolas Cage one.
Oh, yeah.
Something weight of massive talent or something.
Yeah,
It looks really weird.
Where
I want to see it.
Nick Cage plays Nick Cage.
Yes.
It actually got good reviews.
It's getting nothing but good reviews,
That's
basically.
pretty funny. It's because what Pedro Pascal's in it.
Yes.
Nicolas
Cage is great. I refuse to accept anybody who
hates on him,
who disagrees. Maybe he's not great, but I will say he had a Reddit AMA where that's Ask Me Anything, where people were asking about like his effort and stuff, and he was like, I always give 100%, even in these crap movies that I'm in. He didn't say crap movies.
Yeah.
But which is like, I appreciate that, because like you can tell he's going for something.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, he's doing something. He's not just phoning it in like, I don't know, David Carradine in the 80s when he was just like drunk on set, just like, I don't know.
God. But yeah, The Northman, a TikTok I saw, it said completes the trilogy of those for the director. He did The Lighthouse, which we've talked about, The Witch, which we've talked about.
And you've never actually seen it though.
What?
The Witch.
I have seen most of it. and not in succession, in non-chronological order.
Yeah. You saw part of it, and then 6 months later you saw
the other part of it.
Most of what you think you didn't see, but also maybe you skipped some parts. Who's to say?
I'll sit and watch it in its entirety sometime soon. But The Northman's coming out soon. It's got a Skarsgård son in it. It's got a really good Anya Taylor-Joy with the big eyes. She plays in The Witch. Then it's got Nicole Kidman is in it. It's got a really great cast. Bjorn, the singer, Bjorn is in it.
You mean Bjork?
Bjork.
Or is that a different person?
Nope, you got it. What's Bjorn? What am I saying?
It's a person's name? I don't know.
I meant Bjork. Yes. Okay. That's what I meant.
I mean, Bjorn is a name that people have, I think.
I meant Bjork, the singer chick.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, that one.
That's why I said her name.
Yeah, she's in it. So it looks really good. It's got that kind of like dark, creepy feel, but I think it's gonna be really good. Yeah, I'm excited. Oh, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I've seen.
It looks good.
Some guy was like, it's the weirdest movie I've ever seen, but I'm crying. And apparently it's just really, really good. From what I hear, do you remember that book I read? Probably last year, the year before at this point.
The something library
or whatever? The Midnight Library,
yeah.
Yes. So in that book...
it's like about how your life could have been different.
At any decision you made could have changed the trajectory of your life. And this person in the book got to see what her life was like and decide if she wanted to insert herself into that life. And
this makes me want to watch that movie even more because I've been playing a game called Chrono Cross, and it's about like different dimensions, and you meet different people, and all the time they're talking about like, I wonder what my life would have been differently if I'd done this and that. And so then you go to the other dimension you see, and it's like, oh, instead of being a fisherman, you gave it up because somebody died, and you start worshiping this weird voodoo doll in your basement. And then the voodoo doll joins you in your party, and it's really cool. It's really funny.
That's funny.
You start leaving, the voodoo doll just jumps up and is like, I'm going to come with you. And the guy's like, the guy who worships it's like, wait, you're not supposed to move.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be good. I've heard really great things, and I think I'll probably cry. To me, the book, if it's anything like the book, it's not based off of it that I know of, but just it sounds similar. But if it's anything like the book, it leaves you at the end of it being grateful for the life you had. And that was her thing. She had tried to trigger warning commit suicide, and just could see her life how it could have been so many other ways. But she was like, I don't like it because it's not like this in my life. I don't like it because it's not like this in my life. And she's like, well, holy crap, I just want my life. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You just gotta love life. So I don't know if movie's gonna be like that, but I imagine if it is, there will be some tears on my end.
Well, I've been watching a couple of shows that are only on Peacock, so nobody's gonna be able to watch them.
Okay.
AP Bio, I've been going back through it. So they originally made it was on NBC for 2 seasons. And then they were talking about canceling it, but then Peacock came around. They're like, we'll do it Peacock only. Mm-hmm. So I just got to the 3rd season. Show's really good. It's about a teacher who is a former college philosophy teacher who gets kicked out of Harvard because he tries to assault an old man at a meeting. And
why?
Because he gets mad at him and stuff. It's Glenn Howerton, who is Dennis on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And so he's teaching AP Bio, except he's not teaching AP Bio at all. He spends the whole time trying to get revenge on this other guy who is another philosophy teacher who's working at Stanford. And so he's constantly coming up with schemes with the students.
That's funny.
And the students are kind of like not super into it at first, but then they get into the idea. But they also really want to learn biology. And he's like, no, we're not learning biology. That's the most important thing. There's like one part where they're like, we're going to figure out how to get his DNA, and then they're explaining DNA, and he gets all mad, and he's like, no, you're just doing biology now. We're not doing this. That show's really funny.
That sounds funny.
The other one is Girls 5 Eva.
Yeah.
It stars Busy Phillips, that lady.
Oh, yeah.
There's a singer lady. Let's see if you can figure out how I'm supposed to say this name.
Okay.
Sarah Borealis.
Sarah Borealis.
Okay. Borealis.
Yep.
Is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
She's like the main character.
Oh, okay. Is she singing it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
She's part of she was a part of a girl group in like early 2000s, late 90s.
They're Atlas.
And they were called Girls 5 Eva, and they had they're a one-hit wonder, and their song gets used as a sample in a rap song, so then they all get kind of back together and do stuff.
Oh, cool.
And it's very silly. It's made by, I guess, people who did 30 Rock, because it has the same vibe.
Can I just say that I love Sarah Bareilles? She was in Waitress. I think this was Waitress the musical, and she has such an incredible voice, and she's a great piano player. She is so talented.
She plays a little piano.
Oh, does she?
There's a
little tiny one?
No.
Oh.
A little as in not a lot of piano playing.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of songs in it that they're all very silly. They're like vaguely based on like girl group songs, but they're like more blunt versions of them, I guess. Where
I bet she helped write it because she's a songwriter.
You would think so.
Yeah.
There's like a song that's like, we're the perfect girlfriends because our dads are dead, so you don't have to impress them and stuff.
Oh no.
Like weird stuff like that.
Oh
and my mom is too busy, so she won't judge you either.
Oh no. And so, that's funny.
And also they're Girls 5 Eva because they're going to be famous longer than 4 Eva.
Oh.
And they're going to be friends 3 together because that's longer than 2. That's one more than 2 together or something stupid like that.
That's funny.
And they say that every once in a while. It's like, let's hang out 3 together or something.
Let's hang out 3 together.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's really good. There's a second season coming, which I was shocked about. It's coming in May.
Oh.
So very exciting.
Cool.
So those are the things I watched.
How about the Batman?
I saw the Batman.
We saw it, the Batman. It was okay for me. What I was really impressed about, Rob Pattinson was committed to a very depressing Batman version.
Batman, Bruce Wayne, if he were way into the Cure.
Because it's not even like the other Batman tropes. Like, oh, well, we see him at a party and he's rich and he
doesn't do any of that.
He went to a party and was so depressed and wore eyeliner, like total emo move. His hair is black. It's very emo Batman. Also, it was a little boring to me at the end. I was like, all right, come on, let's wrap it up.
It dragged on a bit.
Yes.
It is almost 3 hours.
Wow. But Rob Pattinson did a good job, and I am so impressed by Colin Farrell's makeup.
Yeah. And also John Turturro was Falcone.
Yes, he
was. Like, that guy. All right. He was like really good.
John Turturro is in Severance, and he is incredible.
And he
was so spot on.
It's weird how like comedy actors are always like really good at drama stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because like almost every version of Batman, Bruce Wayne is like not necessarily even a party boy, but he is like an upstanding citizen. Like
he's Mr. Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is just like he's a trust fund kid who's really weird.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Which is, you know what? That's realistic enough for me.
Yeah.
Trust fund kids would probably be really weird, especially if they watch their parents be murdered in front of them.
I thought Zoe Kravitz's... It was a little cringy there.
Her character could have not been in the movie, probably.
Yeah, it was very unnecessary.
They cram a lot because they got Catwoman, Penguin, and Riddler in there.
Yes, and then Joker there for a second.
Yeah, they shouldn't have done that, in my mind.
Why?
Just like, don't even do it.
And Barry Keoghan will be playing that role if they reprise everybody.
I mean, have they gotten rid of what's-his-face from The Flash yet?
Who?
Ezra
Miller?
Yeah.
Is he associated with this?
No, but I'm just wondering if like Ezra Miller he's associated with like a different DC property, and they still haven't, like, at last I saw, kicked him out of it after all the weird stuff he's been up to.
I imagine it's only a matter of time because something's not right. Something's not right. Whether it be drugs, whether it be him have a mental break, it doesn't matter. He needs help. He's spiraling. Something's wrong.
And this isn't like these most recent ones are not the first time. Like, he choked somebody like years ago.
Oh, really?
It was like a couple years ago, a year or two ago, I think.
Really?
It was, I think, around the time Justice League, maybe even around the time the Zack Snyder one was coming out. But it wasn't the most recent stuff where there's like a big incident and then soon after another incident.
Well, and I saw on TikTok, it was a girl who had a lot of pictures with him. And she was like, now I can finally admit it. People will believe me. This is my abuser. And it was her and Ezra, lots of pictures of her and Ezra Miller. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. It's just some girl posting stuff on TikTok saying that he beat the crap out of her.
But anyway, back to Batman.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did that. That was on me. I sent us down that path.
Yeah. Okay.
I actually liked it. I liked it a lot. I did not feel like I wish this was over in the way I was when I was watching Eternals and Shang-Chi.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I was still pretty invested.
Yeah.
I like their version of Gotham, which I don't know if you recognized any of it, but they
smashed up a bunch of skylines, right?
It's an amalgamation of like they shot in Liverpool and Edinburgh.
Weird.
So they create this. It makes it this really unique, weird American city out of time, because it has such a unique look.
Cool.
And it's real nice and greasy looking, gross Gotham.
Yep.
But I like when they have Gotham be really different. Like the Batman 89, it was a lot of Gothic Art Deco stuff. The Batman animated series did a lot of Art Deco, old timey stuff that it gives it this quality where it's not right. I guess
something's a little off. Multiversy.
Yeah, it makes it very unique as a city. Whereas the Nolan films, it's just check out Chicago, but different.
Yeah.
It's that's fine. I mean, those movies are good, but yeah. I don't like how invincible he is in this movie.
He is very invincible, yes.
I don't want to go into spoilers, but there is straight up in the trailer, there's a part where he's just standing still and some dudes are standing a couple feet from him, firing automatic weapons and hitting him every time. And he's just yep, this is fine.
It hurts a little bit.
He doesn't even act like that.
I'll flinch for a second.
I don't even think he flinched because he's vengeance.
I am vengeance.
It's weird when people call him vengeance. That's the thing that they do in the movie that I find very off-putting.
You're okay.
Don't do that. That's part of his character arc in a way. We won't get into it because of spoilers.
Okay.
If you think about it. But yeah, I don't like how invincible he is. But because especially they set it up he's in the shadows and they have these shots where it's a hallway that's completely dark and they kind of linger on it. Is he going to come out of that? No. Anyway, next thing. But it was really cool and really effective. But then he's just I'm out here just taking all the bullets. I don't have to be the shadows, really. I don't know. There's some stuff that's not super great, but overall, I like it quite a lot.
I wonder if there's going to be a multi-film ambition.
I mean, probably. They're already trying to set it up because they introduced the Joker.
I got a lot.
They always do the Joker.
The Penguin didn't really do too much, to be honest. He was more of a side character.
Yeah.
Riddler was the main villain of this film.
I think Penguin, the way they set it up, I think Penguin becomes a bigger deal later without going into it.
Okay.
But the way it is set up, it's clearly he's going to be the guy. And hopefully he has some umbrellas with guns and swords in them, in the comics.
That'd be cool.
He needs to do that.
Yeah.
Also, I've been watching a little bit of Batman from the 60s, Adam West.
Oh, cool.
A very different Batman. A very silly, funny Batman.
Very silly.
The first episode has the Riddler, and part of the Riddler's plan is that he pretends that he's attacking somebody, or he makes it look like he's attacking somebody, and then Batman comes in and apprehends him, and Riddler's I wasn't doing anything. And the guy who's with him is it's true. He was just offering me a lighter. It was a lighter that looked like a gun, and this whole goofy plan. And the plan is he's going to sue Batman for attacking him. And by suing him, he has to show up to court because Batman's an honest man. And by doing so, he has to give up his real identity.
Does he?
No, he gets around it.
God.
But that's what Batman from the 60s is It's very
goofy.
silly. I love it. It's really good.
That's fun. That's fun, though.
It's intentionally goofy.
Yeah.
It's not like they were trying to make Dark Knight and just were incompetent.
Right.
They were... Because that was also of that time, because the Comics Code Authority was around. Because Batman, when he started, was just straight up shooting people with guns.
Oh.
And Comics Code Authority came around, and they're you can't do that anymore. So then the stories got way sillier.
I like it, though. It's kind of campy and a good break.
I like that Batman can be all of those things.
Yeah. Lots of interpretations.
You can have your Batman animated series where it's dark and gritty and stuff, and then you can have Batman from the 60s where it's very silly and he can't get rid of a bomb because there's nuns around. And
he literally wears tights.
Yeah. He's
in a bathing suit.
Exactly. And Robin is a grown man wearing a Speedo.
That's right.
He doesn't have pants or leggings or whatever. That's just his bare legs.
Oh. That's cool.
Burt Ward claims that they had to be careful because their wieners were too big.
Oh, okay.
That's what he claims.
Okay, sure.
I don't know. Also, fun fact. This is the last thing I can tell you, but because we need to go.
Okay.
Adam West and the guy who played the Riddler got invited to a party in Hollywood once.
Uh-huh.
And they show up. And they show up in their costumes.
Uh-oh.
And are acting like jackasses the whole time.
Uh-oh.
Because what they got invited to was an orgy.
Oh, no.
And eventually they got kicked out. Because they were just running around like jackasses in their costumes. In character.
Oh, no. You're like really, really killing the vibe here, guys. Really killing the vibe.
Guys, this is not my kink.
I'm going to need you guys to go. Everybody is turned way off right now.
Oh, man.
That's fun.
Adam West is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like his episode in the Batman animated series where he plays a fake Batman of sorts.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So anyway.
All right.
The Batman. It's on HBO Max. Just watch it. It's streaming.
That's
you don't have to pay extra.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to a theater with a bunch of coffin weirdos.
Yeah. I will say, I felt pretty well protected at Morbius. There was nobody around us.
There you go.
Nobody at all. Anyway. Okay, guys. Thanks for listening. This has been Paint the Town Dead. Sorry about being sick and then having life happen. But hey, we got it out to you eventually. So thanks for being understanding. You can catch us on Facebook at Paint the Town Dead. You can catch us on Instagram at Paint the Town Dead, all one word. Twitter, PTTDpod. And you can email us at pttdpod@gmail.com. Please be sure to subscribe on anything you can, rate 5 stars anything you can, like anything you can, share anything you can. Your interactions help and we appreciate it. And we appreciate you, every single one of you. Thank you so much. So yeah, I think that's all I got.
Me too. Bye.
Okay, everybody. Have a great couple of weeks. Goodbye.